Welcome to the B2T Show. This is Rick, your host. Here we are on our second video on December 28th, Saturday. We're doing this so we can catch up on all the Qyou posts as well as this huge drop by or Decode by Serial Brain 2 that is 4 parts. It took me 3 shows to get through 2 parts. So this might be a 6-show series. And I'm going through as quick as I can. I'm not even showing all the detailed videos. So this is why it took me, 5 or 6 hours to go through this myself to prepare. But I think you'll find it worth it. It's going to be an exciting time here. We are going to be going over part 3. I got into part 3 at the very end of my last video, but my internet was completely cut off in the garage. It actually turned off the power in the garage to the NID, right, to the actual fiber to the house I have. So we lost just a little bit of the last show, just the last 4 minutes or so. So I'm going to start back at the start of part 3 of SB2 Decode on Trump versus the Colt 93, and this gets into 9/11. So this is exciting stuff. We'll see if we can get into part 4 or not. Probably not, because there's a lot of Qyou posts as well that we're going to go over right now. So I see people coming in again. I saw Scoop was first. Thank you for being the moderator as well. I see Northern California in the house. We got Central Texas, Minnesota, Montana, Canada. We got Norway, Florida, New Zealand, I love it. Alabama. Thank you so much all for being on this second show of the day as we get into part 3 and maybe part 4. Let's dive in and get into a Qyou post here before we talk about our sponsor. One of the Qyou posts we went over all the ones that were on the 27th yesterday, and the last one we saw was this POTUS tweets about Biden Pelosi family corruption in Ukraine. 30 minutes after the Qyou drop, right? So we see that's GJT retweets himself 2 hours later, driving the point home. Post drop. So this is real interesting to see. Qyou drops a specific tweet and then Trump tweets about the same thing, just giving us more confirmation of the mathematically impossible odds. If anybody does not think Qyou Plus is Trump and he's working with the Qyou team, which is a group of people around under 10, they say. Only 3 are not military intelligence. So most of them are military intelligence, such as likely Flynn, and I would guess people like, I heard General Green might be a person. Obviously, I think Admiral Rogers. But there's interesting, I think the other 3, obviously one would be Trump. And then maybe a bunch of other people that we're going to be surprised, as he talks about. And you'll see that at the end. SB2 gives his opinion on who that is. I disagree with it, so I'm gonna that's what we're supposed to do. Think for ourselves, right? So 3760 gets into Bill Barr, and he just gives us a tweet about this. T. Heinrich is the one that got Qyou'd, Todd with Trump, and holy yes, Barr asked the question that needed to be asked. What was their agenda after the election? Why did they keep pressing for more FISA abuse? They lie, cheat, and steal from we the people. And they don't give an S about us. Power and control. So listen, this is an interesting little 45-second deal. Listen to this.
But also, a few weeks ago, I told him that he should spend just as much attention on the post-election period. And I did that because of some of the stuff that Horowitz has uncovered, which to me is inexplicable. Inexplicable. Well, what I said is their case collapsed after the election, and they never told the court, and they kept on getting renewals on these applications. There was documents falsified in order to get these renewals. There was all kinds of withholding of information from the court, and the question really is, what was the agenda after the election that kept them pressing ahead after their case collapsed? This is the President of the United States.
Wow, that is blunt. He's talking about, he asked somebody, he's talking about Durham, to look at post-election as well, because the case collapsed. The dossier was the main thing that got them the first FISA on page, and they had 3 renewals, and they had to falsify documents to get them. Right? What was the agenda is actually the question you should be asking. And that is amazing that we've gotten to this point. And that is Bill Barr. What was the agenda to keep pushing FISA-gate post-election after their case collapsed? That's 3760. Let me get to my sponsor, which is Noble Gold, guys. Give them a call and tell them Blessed Teach sent you, just to explore what an IRA can do for you, especially one that is metals, precious metals like gold and silver. Again, many companies, their 401ks or their pensions are kind of really going away. And if you have lost your job or changing your job, you can do a couple things with that. You can actually withdraw that money and pay a ton of taxes and penalties, right? Or you can roll over to your new company, but then you're dealing again with primarily most companies only give you stock and bonds, etc. And those kind of look rocky with the highs that we've had lately. So it might be better to look at a precious metal, especially with Trump looking at the gold standard, etc. Again, Noble Gold are experts in precious metal IRAs. They kept thousands of families safe when their futures were pulled from under them. Again, call 877-646-5347 or hit the link below in the YouTube video. Secure your family fortune and get a tax break with precious metal IRA. Again, call this number here on the screen, 877-646-5347, and tell them Blessed to Teach sent ya. Let's continue some of these Qyou posts. That was 3760 we just reviewed. 3761 gets into another tweet that Qyou points to. It says panic mode. Panic mode. I love it. And this is Qyou and the true Qyou 11. CNN's Brian Stelter is calling out President Trump's retweets this morning of QAnon accounts. He claims this is very unpresidential and it is full-blown panic mode about the president sharing the name of the alleged whistleblower. And so this is Brian Stelter just freaking out, they put this little narrative out that you can't talk about QAnon because that's a conspiracy theory. This is exactly how they killed everything besides the Warren Report down in 1967. They invented the conspiracy theory label to keep you from knowing the truth and labeled everybody and tried to smear them with a conspiracy theory label. They've tried to do that with QAnon, and it's not working. And now that Trump is actually doing this, it's not going to really help them, is it? So let's listen to this minute and 39 clip from Stelter. Bummer. I can just tell that's way too soft. I'm gonna have to just talk to you guys about it because it's just so soft. I'm gonna turn the sound off and just talk about it. But he's basically Brian here for CNN who basically is a complete cabal follower. He is a complete puppet. I think Dan Bongino calls him the dumbest person in news. Right? He calls his show something about reliable sources when he is the one lying to you constantly. And he's just freaking out that Trump actually tweeted something that also QAnon retweeted, and there was some Q stuff in it. And then also the fact that one of those tweets talked about the person that everybody knows who the whistleblower is, and he acts like, CNN doesn't know it. So they just lie. They have nothing but lies. They are just a propaganda for the cabal, propaganda and enemies of the people. They really are. So that's a beautiful thing. Go listen to that yourself when you can turn up your volume more. The way this is set up, it's not going to be loud enough. Here you have 3761. Again, we just looked at that. It says panic mode. People awake is their greatest fear. Qyou. You being awake is their greatest fear. Again, when I'm talking to you about red pilling people, I say, hey, start with Operation Mockingbird and get really smart about talking about it. Talk about the conspiracy theory label. Talk about what happened 50 years later when Trump released some of the, I don't say Trump early on, just talk about in generic where the JFK files were released 50 years later, showing Operation Mockingbird was true when they labeled it as a conspiracy theory. Again, get good at talking about Operation Mockingbird. We'll be doing a show in early January with the Raw Truth Media. Scoop was one of them that pulled most of that together. Great. It's going to be a great 1 or 2 shows on Operation Mockingbird. Get smart on that. Number 2, Epstein. Get smart on Epstein and talking about Epstein. And number 3, get really smart in this IG report and show how they've been lying to you for 2.5 years. And that is, people don't like to be lied to. So Rachel Maddow's being called out for this. This is a great topic to show. I don't want to watch news where people lie to me. That's part of Operation Mockingbird. But set it up with Operation Mockingbird, then prove it with the IG report versus what they told you for 2.5 years, including the Democratic memo, where Devin Nunes' memo was absolutely correct, and the Democratic memo that Shifty Schiff put out was full of lies. And those lies were perpetuated all throughout the Mockingbird media. People are going to start waking up, guys, and we're going to get to that tipping point. You get to 10 to 15% of the population, and it just, boom, can be the tipping point that happens. You can be part of that. So get smart on how to red pill your friends and family. That's 3761. The summary of that was CNN in panic mode over POTUS tweeting QAnon accounts and fake whistleblower's name. It is a fake whistleblower, exactly. And this is 3762. He posts a 2018 article drop from 1764 and talks about Gina Haspel and John Brennan. Talks about Nicholas Rasmussen, an important name to remember, former director of NCTC. Think FISA, think no name. White House visitor log, no name to Hussein, dates. White House visitor logs, no name Brennan, Hussein, dates. White House visitor logs, no name Brennan, Comey, Hussein, dates. White House visitors logs, no name Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Hussein, dates. Replaced by, so this guy Rasmussen, right, was actually replaced by the Defense Intelligence Liaison to British Intelligence in London, Think UK. Current director of C_A, which is Haspel. UK bio removed. CIA's station chief, London, UK. Furthermore, Haspel is seen as a Russia expert and a close ally of Britain's MI6, having both been London station chief from 2014 through 2017. So that's just a review that Qyou gave us way back in 2018. For some reason, the month's off of there. But we see now he's amplifying on that, and he gives us a tweet from Natasha here. Says, new, the CIA director herself may be drawn into the Bar-Durham probe as they investigate rumors about Joseph Mifsud, who was a Western intelligence asset, not a Russia asset, as Mueller tried to hint and lied to you about in his Mueller report. As London station chief in 2016, Haspel was briefed on the Russia-linked professor's contacts with Papadopoulos, per sources. But, so Natasha's obviously putting the mainstream spin on this. It's not going to work. And she said it sounded like an FBI matter, according to the IG report, which redacts Haspel's name. That would seem to pour cold water on the unsubstantiated theories of Mifsud was a CIA asset, as some Trump allies have alleged. And it doesn't really matter if it's a CIA asset or a FBI asset, but I think they're going to find out that it actually is a CIA asset, and we'll find that soon. Haspel made director for a specific reason. Brennan tapped directly for support. Brennan class security division to spy on Trump. If CIA was running Black Op, spying on Trump, in UK, would Haspel, the station chief, be informed and instructed? Of course, she would have. MI6 meetings with Durham. Yeah, so basically Durham went and met with MI6, and the head of MI6, I believe, left, and so now there's hopefully an honest guy in there that actually is working with Durham as well as Haspel. The only way to restore faith is through transparency and accountability. Qyou. So this is a direct shot at Brennan. He's in trouble. So CIA Director Gina Haspel knew about the Spygate operation in the UK and is working with John Durham and the MI6. I would have summarized that differently. But this is 3762. You can see they dropped that same thing, and then they amplifies on it even more by giving you Gina Haspel's Central Intelligence Agency career timeline. It says geolocation 2015 through 2017, Qyou. And you can see clearly from 2014 to 2017, she was the chief of station in the Europe division. So she knew what Brennan was doing, and now she's been documenting the heck out of it, getting Durham in a criminal case information needed to make it ironclad against John Brennan and the rest of the treasonous clowns. And that was 3762. 3763 gets into CI director. 3763, I think that's what I just went over. Yeah, 3763. Now we move to 3764. And here we have DNC servers. CrowdStrike. Did Russia break into DNC servers? Why did FBI accept indirect evidence regarding the DNC servers hack break-in by CrowdStrike? Ukraine? So CrowdStrike's heavily has heavy ties into Ukraine, and you trusted them? Really? Why didn't FBI directly investigate DNC servers? In hand? Download speed internal data, DL, versus remote? So this is really critical, because this is basically saying we know, we can see by the WikiLeaks data that the data that came from the DNC was actually direct link. It was a thumb drive versus remote. There's no way a remote connection, even if you had fiber to the house, is going to do something as fast as a thumb drive copy rates. And so you can see how fast these things were copied with the metadata to know that we actually know this. And so this is why he put this real clear politics article in here. Assange to Hannity. Now, we've known about this for 2 years, but now this is, I think, for the newbies and the new followers that are coming to Qyou. Assange to Hannity. Sources for WikiLeaks was not Russian government. You can see this is January of 2017, right? So this is literally almost 2 full years ago that it wasn't the Russian government. So we can see it, even Julian Assange himself in the Hannity interview clearly stated it wasn't a Russian source, and the data speeds actually back that up. How does one provide content to WikiLeaks? Computer to computer or person to person? And it's always person to person. Personal comms secured prior to release? Of course it was. The sources: feeder, recipient, and they've got all these hashtag ones in here. In brackets, ones. Interning for the DNC can be deadly. Now, it's obviously talking about Seth Rich. You can't say his name, so just because I said that word, by the way, will make it to where they won't allow me to even they demonetize every one of my videos, but that allows them to not turn it to monetization later, which I try to do because I'm trying to get off the bad list, but I'm so far in the bad list that it doesn't even matter now. So that's just part of the games they make. By the way, YouTube could knock me off any second, guys. So I'll talk about that after this drop, about what you can do about it to make sure you don't lose being able to hear this great information that we're exposing. Interning for the DNC can be deadly. Does CrowdStrike possess government capability to trace break-in routes? Does CrowdStrike possess government capability on foreign intercepts? Possible to layer insert code CrowdStrike to designate intruder intended target? And we know from Vault 7 that it's not too hard to actually take stuff out of one government like Russia and put it into the server as if Russia hacked it. Possible to layer insert code CrowdStrike to designate intruder intended target. So they basically set up Russia. NSA data bridge DNC CrowdStrike bulk data collection. So saying clearly there that CrowdStrike's one of the contractors that was doing bulk data collection of the NSA. Matters of national security, highest levels. FISA is only the beginning. The hole is deep. Qyou. So that is interesting stuff. So CrowdStrike's going down. That's why CrowdStrike is in brackets, in kill brackets. CrowdStrike is going to be exposed here soon. And they are obviously a Ukraine/deep state cabal company, and they're going to be completely exposed. The summary of this is FBI and CrowdStrike concealed the real source of the DNC data breach, Seth Rich, and framed Russia. That's exactly what happened here. As I want to show you real quick what you need to do if you want to continue to follow me. The best way to do it is to go to blessedtoteach.com. Okay, this is my main area of communicating with you. When YouTube knocks me out, you can find my show notes right here. You can come here and sign up for the email list. I'll let everybody in the email list know exactly what I'm doing, what my plans are after I get knocked off YouTube. I'm 100% sure it's going to happen. Not sure exactly the timing. Now, when that happens, it's not a problem. I don't need YouTube anymore because I've already invested in a backup platform. So for people that are just want to do the free stuff, which is absolutely fine, and continue to get the show, you're going to need to go to BitChute. It won't be live though. It'll only be live on the platforms I've had to invest in. So BitChute is where you want to go, and you go to the very bottom of blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com. Go to the very bottom, and you will see a link to my BitChute channel, BITCHUTE, and subscribe there. But only 2,000 people out of 65,000 are there. So if you want to see my free content, that's the only place it's probably going to be, I would guess, in the next couple months. Then, but the other area is Backstage, as you guys know, right? Backstage is where Gene's going to be. Gene Unleashed is going to be Monday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, for those of you on Backstage. And you got, obviously, if you can't make it at that time, you'll be able to see the recording of that. That's on my Zoom platform that I do that. And I've got recordings. I paid for storage. I paid for the platform. I paid for getting multiple users on there at the same time. That's my backup platform where I'm going to be live. Then I'll upload the non-Backstage stuff to the free content. Obviously, will all go as a regular. This show will always be free and will always be on BitChute. But they can take BitChute down just like they took Acun. That's why I have invested in the Zoom platform. I've also invested in the high-speed cloud platform where you can search everything and get to the last minute and second of every phrase that you want to research. So anything that Mark Taylor said, anything that I've said, and that will be accessed via a small fee per month. Again, the two actually get a much better experience, much better search engine than YouTube gives you, right? And so if you want to see Gene Unleashed and all the other content, he's done like 4 exclusives with me. My son's done an exclusive on how to red pill. You would just come to the Backstage tab on blessed2teach.com. Go to the bottom, and you will see the deal that's going on only till January 1st. This deal goes away, and the 30-day trial is going away. So this is the last chance you have to get on the 30-day free trial. You also save 30% on the monthly fee, and if you pay for a year in advance, you actually get another 30% off. Bring it down to like $7 a month, and that would be again with a 30-day trial. So join me on Backstage with Blessed Teach if you want to keep up and see the Monday night deal with Jim. But there's a lot of other advantages also, guys. You also get, not only do you get exclusive content, you also get the searchy tool that gets to the minute and second of anything that Mark Taylor said on my show, or any guest that said on my show, what I've said, what Gene said, etc. And you also, I'm probably going to get all of Kim Clement and Mark Taylor's searchable by word or phrase on the Backstage. And then also you can watch me live 5 minutes before. In fact, I'm on Backstage right now with a different camera. Hey, those of you Backstage, so come and join me Backstage. I'll spend 5 minutes with you after the recording as well. And you'll be able to see these recorded if you can't join me live. All right, you can actually watch the recording to the 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after. Gene joins us sometimes at the end as well, get some great information. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that's how you're going to keep track of me after I get knocked off YouTube. I'm going to be either go Backstage, go subscribe to the BitChute channel, right? Or get on my email list. Do one of those 3 things, you're going to lose me. Some people have done all 3, and that's awesome. Okay, now that's 3764, which we just reviewed. 3765 is here a meme that shows that this treason bomb coming down on Comey. He says, "Oh lordy," and it's prosecute Comey for leaking memos after IG reference source. Bigger slam dunk charges coming. Public understanding of events is just around the corner. So the public's starting to understand exactly what's happening out, and Comey's got a lot more coming to him than just leaking stuff that that one of the reports, the IG reports, suggested that he was reviewed for. Future will prove past. So what they're saying there is that every time Qyou says something, like he said here all the way back on 8/1/19, so in August he told us this, he says pretty soon future will prove past. In other words, Comey's his real crimes are 100 times worse, I believe, than what just leaking to newspapers illegally like he did. And this shows a meme of both Comey and McCabe behind bars. Comey holding his book and McCabe holding Hillary's book. Pretty classic. So that again is 3765. We move over to 3766. And the DNC data breach. It's talking more about that. And this is the actual report. This is a new report, raises big questions about last year's DNC hack. So this one is August of 2017. We already saw one that was January of 2017. Everybody knows that this was Seth Rich downloading it with a thumb drive because of how his supported candidate Bernie Sanders got screwed by the DNC in acts of sabotaging that election, and he copied it onto a thumb drive and obviously was murdered. And by MS-13 people. We know that from QAnon, right? And this actually takes a quote out of this article that I'll read here in a second. You can get a link to the full article right here, but here's the part that Qyou wants you to understand. Orentiator's first decisive findings made public in the paper dated July 9th concerned the volume of the supposedly hacked material and what is called the transfer rate, the time a remote hack would require. The metadata established several facts in this regard with granular precision on the evening of July 5th, 2016. 1,976 megabytes of data were downloaded from the DNC server. The operation took 87 seconds. Now think about that. 1.9 gigabytes, right? 1,976 megabytes, 87 seconds. This yields a transfer rate of 22.7 megabytes per second. These statistics are matters of record and essential to disproving the hack theory. No internet service provider, such as a hacker would have had to use in the mid-2016, was capable of downloading data at that speed. Compounding this contradiction, Guccifer claimed to have run his hack from Romania, which for numerous reasons, technically called delivery overheads, would slow down the speed of a hack even further from maximum achievable speeds. So you can go see this article and it'll clearly show you that it was a thumb drive, not anything else. The DNC data breach downloaded speed points to an internal leak, not an external hack. Now here is 3767. Hopefully this is the last one because we got to move on to other things. It's a meme that says, let me get this straight. Biden blackmailed Ukraine with $1 billion in tax dollars to drop an investigation into his son, and Democrats want to impeach President Trump simply for asking if it was true? That's awesome. Easy to understand. Qyou. He's just talking about, hey, this is really easy to understand, guys. It's not that hard. And here is the whole quid pro quo 4-minute video of him basically, Joe Biden clearly stating that the guy was going to get fired. So his corrupt father, Joe Biden, should be under criminal investigation too. Joe Biden held back $1 billion until Ukraine fired the prosecutor investigating his son's company, then lied about it. And you'll see the link right there. I've seen that video probably 30 times, so I'm assuming most of you have too. If not, you can go to the show notes and find it very quickly. Or just go to qmap.pub and you go to drop number 3767. And that's the last one I think we had when I started the show. We'll see if, yep, Qyou has not dropped again. So boy, that was a lot that he dropped today, right when I'm trying to get through Mr. SB2. So SB2, you'll find all the links. I'm going to Reddit. I'm just decided to stop using Vote because I can't blow up the charts enough. But here's Trump versus the Cult Part 1. Here's Trump versus the Cult Part 2. You go to the very bottom of this, and it'll each one of them before the comments, right? And it'll link you right to the next part. So that's what we're going to start with is Part 3. I had started it, but it got cut off due to the internet. So here we go. We're talking about Trump versus Colt 93, the secret war that Trump is winning. Part 3, the explosive truth about 9/11. I'm going to do one more thing, though. I am going to go to my vote because I think I had problems with one of the images. And we'll just make sure that when we go to part 3, we can go to either platform. It's always good to have a backup, right? Just like I have a bunch of email systems. Some of them are not on Google. Some of them are. So always have a backup system. So, by the way, Vote has a great discussion area. All right. Now Vote is having maintenance problems. So hopefully this is the image that was not linking correctly this morning. Ha! He fixed it. Perfect. Okay. Now, the reason it wasn't linking is because my internet was down. Duh! So it's working fine. We are in a good spot right now. So let's get going. We are talking war from the family Y sequence we can identify through corresponding Jewish or simple gematria, I think it's pronounced, values the two-phrase Luciferian plan leading to the total control of the planet and the implementation of the beast system. This plan is summarized in what I call the Luciferian grid. The maestro provides clues in his comms and in the news to confirm the grid and to detect the counter-moves he made to neutralize the Luciferian strategy before it could get to phase 2. And this is image 48, which I just opened up. 48 talks about the Luciferian grid. So this talks about the news and this whole G column here, talking about Eve, Jihad, and so now it's got all these numbers. This is those numbers he talked about earlier. It's a Fibonacci series, but he starts with 7 and he adds 25 to each of them. So it's a different series called the Luciferian grid. And each item solves the number on top of its own column with a Jewish or simple gematria. The item in the news are horizontally connected. Example 1, Sleepy in column 82 solves Joe Biden. So you see in column 82 right here, Sleepy, right, resolves Joe Biden. You'll see that is this whole 82 bit here, and this row here, Sleepy Joe Biden in 107. And so these are that's you have to either look at the column or the row. He's talking about the row there with Sleepy Joe Biden. And then example 2 is Qatar in C57 in connection with Arabian heritage in C107, though Ivanka's visit to the National Museum of Qatar on December 15th, 27. So Qatar in C57. Let's see if I can find Qatar real quick. I had it earlier. But anyway, when you here it is, Qatar. So Qatar is right there, and it's talking about Ivanka. And as you go across, it is connected to the Arabian heritage, and in C107, 107, there it is. And so you hear this talking about impeachment here with Qatar. So this is the way challenge. Can you connect other items in this news? So here's the decode. The decode is Lucifer had a plan, and he hired family Y to execute it. He coded Y in each step of the plan and started with 7 to imitate God. The goal was simple: deceive mankind in 2 major phases in order to reach the grand finale, consisting of imposing a new world order ruled by the Luciferian government with the power of the number of the beasts. He figured, if I defeat the United States, the ripple effect will give me a global victory. Phase 1 was to infiltrate and control the U.S. through a radical Islam jihad and put the first woman, Eve, in the White House, obviously Hillary. With this deadhead in the person of HRC in place, the plan was to make assets like al-Baghdadi as powerful as possible to install chaos in the Middle East, spread violence throughout the world, and collect the blood needed to satisfy demonic partners that will help implement the beast system on the planet through mind control and the application of ancient satanic satanic knowledge. Now, Q, are we alone? Roswell. Q2222, no. Highest classification. Consider the vastness of space. Q. Now, I was telling you, the last decode we did on Backstage with Gene is called The Four Pillars of Satan, the vastness of space. He goes into detail, talking a lot about this stuff. We kept at level 3 and below, so we didn't get into aliens, but we got heavily into life outside and the vastness of space. We'll get into other deeper levels soon. And on Backstage with Blessed to Teach, again, you need to go to blessed2teach.com with the 2. Go to the Backstage tab at the bottom, hit the 30-day plan. January 2nd is the last chance you get. The last chance you get to actually have the 30-day free trial. SB2 continues. Phase 2 was about enthroning the immortal chief, carefully picked within the satanic royal lineage, and support him with extra-dimensional militias imported through the Tower of Babel. The beast of the sea would then manifest, turn all mankind into maritime law products, and defeat religions with legalism. Who would have thought that circus lawyer James Comey always believed that being this immortal chief was his destiny? This is the missing piece needed to explain his arrogance and understanding of why he genuinely thinks people believe his lies. Unfortunately for Lucifer and his minions, the Maestro stopped their plan at phase 1 and responded to the dark reign they envisioned with accountability, justice, the reign of the Most High, the divine blessing of the USA, and the victory of light over darkness. Crazy stuff, huh? That was image 48. Now you know these things. I can show you more. Let's go back to Aleister Crowley, the founder of Thelema 93 and one of the most prominent Satanists in history. Were you aware that he is suspected to be Barbara Bush's father? Watch this video. I'm not going to have time to go over the videos. This is a 5-minute video, but you'll see as this goes through, it actually will...
Many American millennials seem to be drawn to socialism. They came out in big numbers for...
Yeah, so you'll see in that video what he's going to talk about in a second. You got that? Let's go back in time, September 11th, 2001, and watch. There's another video here. This is a 2-minute video. I'm going to watch part of this one.
Bound for Los Angeles has been hijacked. Then a news bulletin. An airplane flying due south has crashed into the upper level of the North Tower of...
Yeah, and you tell me... Okay, one plane hitting a tower. Potentially understandable. And then you have the best Air Force in the world, and you're not going to be able to stop a second plane? There's no way. They had to keep the planes away because the fighter jets could have easily taken down a plane coming to do the same thing. The second one doesn't make any sense. But anyway, the point he's making is different. Let's get back to that, and that's about Barbara Bush and what's going on with that. Let's see here. We've got, did you spot the multiple occurrences of 93? The obvious ones being 903 or 930, and the less trivial 935 at the 5-side pentagon. So basically that 2-minute video was just full of pointing to 93, 93, 93. Additional material provided another 93 from Flight 93 that crashed in Somerset, and that the first hit occurred between floors 93 and 99 of the WTC North Tower. Coincidence? Here's something that you will find even more troubling. So here's Aleister Crowley, this guy right here. Pauline Pierce, Barbara Bush's mother. Aleister Crowley, founder of Thelema 93. Barbara Bush, Nee Pierce. Marvin Pierce, Barbara Bush's legal father. So the big question mark. And so what happened is Pauline Pierce participated in a sexual ritual with Aleister Crowley 8 months before giving birth to her daughter, Barbara. First 9/11 hit, floors 99 to 93. Look at this. This is really weird. Barbara Pierce's gematria is 99. Barbara Bush is 93. And they actually show 93 to 99 there. The decode is this. According to Crowley's diary, Pauline Pierce participated in his supreme ordeal sexual ritual during her visit to France. She returned to the U.S. in early October of 1924, and on June 8, 1925, she gave birth to a girl named Barbara, who does not look like her legal father, Marvin Pierce, at all. Let's not conclude on the paternity yet, but we can at least spot that Pauline Pierce has a strong interest for satanic rituals and occultism. Pauline Pierce names the baby Barbara Pierce, 99, who later marries George Bush and becomes Barbara Bush, 93. What are the odds that after their sexual ritual, Aleister Crowley, famous number 93, significantly appears in the life of Pauline Pierce's daughter, Barbara? What are the odds that Barbara, whose name count went from 93 to 99, had a son who was the sitting U.S. president when Flight 11 crashed into the World Trade Center between floors 99 and 93? Coincidence? Yeah, that's the big question that we're asking here, isn't it? Here is something that will make you, that we just saw that. Time to investigate. Did you notice that 9/11 is code for the human shape, and that 93 is coded in the date of the tragic and atrocious event? Did you spot the 666 and 93 coded several times in the timestamp and the flight numbers? How about family Y structure? Look at image 50. Here you go. We talked about this, where you have this boot 9/11, 9, you can see K, kind of like builds a human if you have the K sideways, and you have the 9, a look of 9, you put it on top, it says a human structure. 9/11, 2011, you can also get 93 out of that. 93 was coding the date of the attacks. And then you can see that 8:45 a.m., a hijacked passenger jet, American Airlines Flight 11. You add all those numbers up, you can get to 666. 9:03, United Airlines Flight 175 from Boston crashed into South Tower. That can be 9 times 3 and 27, which could be the 93. And then between floors 93 and 99, difference being 6. You got the AA11, which can be 4. AA175 can be 35. And basically they're coming to a 666 number here, as you can see. The decoded message is this, though, and it's talking about some other things based on the President Bush speaking in Sarasota, Florida. 9/11 was the 254th day of the year. This was code for the family Y structure. So they have it all over it. It says 9/11 is secretly connected to the human shape through the geometry of the letter K and the numbers 9. The multiple references to 93 and 666 coded in the date, the timestamps, and the riddle connecting the flight numbers and the WTC targeted floors are Colt's 93 way to sign this violent attack against mankind and to clarify the subject matter. The attack is about destroying the human form and replacing it with the family Y 25 incremental structure. So these guys are numerological freaks, right? What do you think when an abnormal number of coincidences occur? Yes, you keep digging until you break the standard deviation. From this link, we get all we need to know about the 4 aircrafts that crashed that day. This just shows all about the timeline of 9/11. Ready? Fasten your seatbelts and read very carefully. So if you look at those 4 flights, which have AA11, American Airlines 11, United Airlines 175, American Airlines 77, and United Airlines 93, you got these 4 columns here all the way down, right? And he's basically doing some analysis, looking at these, each of those, looking at a digit sum and doing mathematical formulas down to 11, 13, 14, 12. Taking 7, 7 plus 14, etc., etc. Then you got this digit sum and reduction, doing 2, 4, 5, 3, and he's doing the same here with both of them together, coming out to Y each time. So he says when we reduce the flight numbers to double digits, the digit sum of the 4 flight numbers generate the perfect sequence of 11, 12, 13, 14. Coincidence? When we reduce the flight numbers to single digits, they generate the perfect sequence, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coincidence? When we group flights per airline with 11 as a key justified by the date, The digits for each airline both add up to 25 and point to family Y. Coincidence? This is all this numerical stuff they coded into 9/11 is what he's getting at. That was 51. Shocked, there is more. Discover the 69 Barbara Bush math problem. So this is 52, gets into a lot of the same analysis, looking at the 99 and 93 that we talked about earlier. The decoded message in all this is, Aleister Crowley's satanic ritual required Pauline Pierce's daughter's full name to match 99. Barbara Pierce's satanic destiny was to fulfill her 666 personal prophecy and significantly advance the Cult 93 agenda. By marrying George Bush, she went from 99 to 93 and secured her first 6. She was left with 2 9s and figured that if she could invert them, she would manifest her life quest 666. She coded the inversion of these 2 9s in the 4 flight numbers, groupings leading to perfect squares, and the last occupied seat row numbers. Pretty wild. That is what that is talking about. And then it goes into, as you can see, Barbara has a pretty creepy mind and pretty creepy old friends who don't like real numbers. Surprised? You should not. Wait until she tells you what she does with a fetus after a miscarriage. And this video will tell you that she actually had it in a jar. And probably because they were doing experimental stuff, etc. So I'm not going to go get into that video. Now watch her husband express his sadness when referring to JFK's assassination. Unfortunately, as it unlocked me, I'm not signed in, so hopefully it won't play another one.
After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy.
So that goes on and on to just kind of say, what? And what's this guy thinking? It's funny that happened. Clear. This is the type of creature we are dealing with. There's more. Look how the double taxation avoidance agreement signed with India under George H.W. Bush presidency is connected to 9/11. This is image 55, DTAA. George H.W. Bush is a strong supporter of the Indian democracy, pushing for lasting Indo-Pak peace. And you'll see double taxation avoidance agreement, DTAA. And the delta between that and 9/11 was exactly 144 months. And the decoded message of all this is, using the method that generated the Luciferian grid by adding and subtracting coupled numbers, we see they coded in the number of passengers hitting WTC, the letters AA and DT for the remaining flights. For those joining us, for example, D equals 108 because we circle 4 times the alphabet and hit 4 in the 5th and last rotation. Decoded message. We solved the 4-letter sequence with DTAA, which stands for Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement. This was the agreement signed with India on September 12th, 1989, exactly 144 months before September 11th, 2001 operation. Coincidence? Just in case you were wondering if George W. Bush would appear at some point from the flight numbers, the answer is yes. And you look at this, and here's all the flight numbers again and the differences that they're calculating it. Total launch time 43. You get plane victims and what was 157. Plane victims Pentagon and Somerset comes down to this 108 petagram again. And there's you got operational Foley signed. 7th column of Luciferian grid, Royal Lineage, Tower of Babel. And you look at the differentials, 144 days. That's how they're getting to the 108. And basically, there's another 25 in here for into family Y. The decoded message is DTAA is connected to the pentagram through the 2 angles, 72 surroundings, 108, and 2 family Y through 144 degrees, being the angle for 2 portions of a circle evenly divided by 5. This confirms 9/11 was a satanic ritual using the pentagram and signed by family Y. Question, why DTAA? Why India? Here is why, and this is, here is why Barbara's fetal pythogram mined, connected India to 9/11 through the DTAA. And here we are in image 56. Look at this. India provides the operation solving DTA with DNA and data. So here's India, here's the DTAA, and you can see when you use this permutation signature, reading the 2 as 11, Twin Towers on 9/11, 37 minus 11 is 26, and you basically come down to this DNA and data. 666, obviously here, got the DNA and data is the whole key to this, DTA and data, right? And you'll see here that the significance of 108 in Hinduism, Plain Victims, Pentagon, and Somerset 108. You'll see this, the difference in 144, which we talked about before. The decoded message is this: India provides the connections between DTAA, DNA, and data. 9/11 was a Colt 93 operation that started with Aleister Crowley's satanic ritual causing the birth of Barbara Bush, solidified by her husband George H.W. Bush when he was president, and fully executed by her son George Bush in 2001. In addition to the mass trauma and the related sorcery, mind control, wealth, and power gain through the import of satanic entities into our dimension, the purpose was to access our DNA information and to carry out a global genetic hybridization program to enslave mankind and enthrone family Y as our eternal masters. Did you know it is believed Adam landed in the region of India after the fall? Are you familiar with the Rama Setu Bridge connecting India to Sri Lanka? Watch this video. Again, it's a pretty lengthy video, so I'm not going to play that, but it shows, this 5-minute video actually shows exactly how you had this potential bridge that was built between Sri Lanka and India. This will help you connect the dots. So here's image 57 that talks about just that. You see that it's this underground reefs or something that was built here that could have been above ground at a later time. You can see it's called Rama's Bridge between Sri Lanka and India right there. And this often used Sri Pada is derived from Sanskrit and also has meanings as Pali and may be translated roughly as the sacred foot. It refers to the footprint-shaped mark at the summit, which is believed by Buddhists to be that of Buddha. Christian and Islamic traditions assert that it is the footprint of Adam, left when first setting foot on earth and having been cast out of paradise, giving it the name Adam's Peak in Wikipedia. So here is the comment here. He's talking about various religious traditions report that Adam landed around India, in Sri Lanka precisely, where the Sri Prada is located. Current science is still puzzled by the origins of the Rama's Bridge connecting Sri Lanka to India. The same religious traditions report that the bridge was constructed by Adam himself when he started the quest for Eve, then eventually reunited in the region of the Arabic Peninsula to start the story of mankind on Earth. Remember this place. We'll get back to it later. Why is this relevant? For Satanists, India symbolizes their victory over Adam and Eve and the success of Satan's genetic plot in Eden to disrupt Adam's original DNA and alter his divine constitution. Since 9/11 had the same purpose, it was natural for Colt 93, Family Y, and the Bush family to refer to India in the 9/11 satanic ritual. Do you see the tremendous symbolic importance of the Rama Bridge for mankind, his DNA, and his constitution? Now, let's get back to here where it goes into more detail. Let's now rewatch what George Bush was doing a few minutes before the 9/11 operation started. You remember he was reading all that stuff to the kids?
Get ready to read all these.
And kite. They talked about steel, must.
Yes.
And so all those different words, and that's what he was doing at the school when all of a sudden he was interrupted and saying, hey, look at all this stuff happened. The way he reacted was really wild. Didn't seem too upset. Wasn't in a big hurry. This will help connect the dots. And so, yeah, we saw this graphic. So let's go to the next one. Kite hit still plane must. That's what he said to the kids in the school where the teacher was teaching at that time. Do you know that the 9/11 there was a point in time when Air Force One with Bush on board was the only plane in the sky? Politico wrote about it here. You can link to that article. Puzzle coming together. This is why 9/11 was really about. So this talks about that article. So we don't need to really go to it, but you can see how the ritual. Kite hit still plane must. The decoded message here is the Bush family has been busy. Grandfather Prescott Bush financed Hitler, his wars, and the rise of Nazism. Father George H.W. Bush does not remember where he was on the day of JFK's assassination. He was working with the CIA. George W. Bush was the only one in the sky when people were jumping from the World Trade Center. So we were the only ones in the sky. This is that article from Politico magazine. Where was the president the 8 hours after September 11th attacks? The strange, harrowing journey of Air Force One, as told by the people who were on board. The decode of this is Qyou 3446. Symbolism will be their downfall. Do you see it? The Satanists hate mankind, and Satan orders them to do anything they can to cause us to suffer. Satan does not admit responsibility for this fall. He blames it on Adam and those people you see jumping to their death from World Trade Center, while his puppet is the only one flying in his way is making us pay. Is his way of making us pay. And there's the people jumping from World Trade Center. Sad stuff is what it is. Yeah, that's the way Satan was making us pay, supposedly, to having his puppet in the air while other people were jumping to their death. That was a sad day for sure. Now you are equipped to learn that what they really did on 9/11, that the flights really meant, and why the Twin Towers had to be built in a city nicknamed the Big Apple. Just want to make sure I didn't skip 58 here, because I think we just went over 58. So now we're going to image 59 of 78. So we're getting close, guys. We're doing pretty well. I'm just doing a time check real quick. Yeah, we need to wrap it up on this one. And so we're getting to 56 minutes. What they really did. This is talking about 9/11, obviously. And you look at this. They attacked the Twin Towers of our DNA. See, look at the whole DNA thing. The Twin Towers, which is male, female, right? They want to make them wise. So what, there's only one building there too. There's not two buildings anymore. They attacked the Twin Towers of our DNA. You see here, to destroy the original Constitution. And here, Constitution. And so that this is the Pentagon, right? Right there. Then you see people jumping from, you got Adams Peak, just like they did in Eden. Flight 93, National Memorial. A common filled one day, a field of honor forever, eternity honor the heroes of Flight 93, in order to grow us like crop and make us honor them in our eternal cult 93 masters. So this is what they basically said. They attacked the Twin Towers over DNA to destroy the original Constitution, just like they did in Eden, in order to grow us like crop and make us honor them as our eternal cult 93 masters. That is exactly the summary of what they were doing. Now you're equipped to learn what they really did on 9/11, what the four flights really meant. We just read that. As you can see, these people are evil, evil, evil. This is why the maestro gathered in the same tweet, Barbara Bush's funeral and a beautiful day. Discover how he promised to get rid of these evil beings and how signaled he kept his promise with the Rocky III doctored picture. So this continues for quite some time. So it looks like it's going to take 6 episodes to get through this, especially with all the Qyou posts. So we're going to stop there, though, and get into image 60 next, which gets into his tweets and the doctored photo and all kinds of other things as we dig deeper into 9/11. With that, guys, I'm going to go over the prophecy. I'm going to just go grab a scripture for you guys to end this episode with. I really appreciate you joining me. It is these SB2T codes, it is like 7 in 1, right? It is 4-part deals. It's going to be like 6 or 7 shows to get through them, but we'll get through them. I might do 2 shows tomorrow again to try to at least get into 4, because the conclusion of this is key for everybody to understand where SB2's mind is and how it's different from mine. So I really want to get to that conclusion as soon as possible as we go through this. So I am looking for Kim Clement's information here, because I know there was one at the bottom of that. I had a really awesome really awesome scripture. Well, I'm just going to grab a different one because I can't find it. I'm going to do Isaiah 41:10, which is an awesome, all 67 of my memory verses I just love anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? Here's my one. It's called Isaiah 41:10 as a Bible memory verse. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. What a beautiful promise from Isaiah 41:10. Again, do not fear. The Lord's with you. Do not be dismayed. He's your God. He will strengthen you and help you. He will uphold you with his righteous right hand. Wow. Is that not awesome? Thanks, Houdini. I tell you what, this is awesome. Isaiah 41:10. It's a promise. So if all this stuff going on, all this ugly stuff you're going to learn about Colt 93, the evil satanic ritual of 9/11, you know what? You don't have to fear. You don't even have to be anxious. Philippians 4:6-7, right? Tell us about that. Do not be anxious about anything. Just by prayer and petition, present your request to God for everything, in every situation, right? And then the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And here's Isaiah 41:10 saying something very similar back in the Old Testament. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. We're seeing the events of God happen right before us. I believe right before the final harvest, where we're going to see over the next decade billions of people come to Christ. And you can be part of that. I hope you join me. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for your scripture. And it's a living word. That's what's so cool about it. Again, that's why I always say, let's not just pray to God. Let's also read the word of God, because that's when we're listening to him. If you want to listen to what God's doing, just like I talked about earlier this morning on Romans 12:1, is that you can renew your mind by reading the word. You can also listen to this living word. What is he saying to you? What is he saying to you in Isaiah 41:10? He's telling you not to fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Thank you, Lord, for telling us that. And you tell us you will strengthen us, you will help us, you will uphold us with your righteous right hand. Thank you, Lord. We just glorify you and worship you at this moment. Thank you. We love you. Use us in a mighty way for your kingdom. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, you are awesome. Sorry we couldn't get through as much as we wanted, but hey, we caught up on all the Qyou posts, and we actually got through a good part of part 3 on 9/11 of Trump and the cult. And we will continue part 3. I'm going to have to rename this one, since I thought I might get to part 4, and obviously I couldn't with all the massive amount of stuff. But we're on like 46 out of the 78 graphics that SB2 left for us. So this is exciting times. We're going to get through it. I'll be my goal is for SB2. Those of you who want to understand SB2, it'll be the first place you can go to get all the information the quickest. You'll find them all in the show notes on Monday, Sunday night or Monday. That all the show notes will pop up as well. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.